Hello again, welcome back to the channel. Glad you could join me. This is one of the other books that I finished recently during the Christmas break. This is actually an ebook that I got from Google. It was free at one point to get volumes 1 through 3 of the Harbinger of Doom saga. It seemed like a good idea at the time, so I picked it up. And this is basically I usually have 2 books that I'm reading. I'll have a physical book that I'm reading, and then I'll have an ebook, and this is the ebook that I read. I get around to reading it every so often. It kind of depends on how many appointments I have during the month. I have an ebook on my phone so that when I'm at, say, the dentist's or the doctor's, or I'm waiting for something, that I can pull that up and have something to read. So in the north, in the lands of the Eotris family, they have a fort. They call it Dor Eotris. And it has been held by the Eotris family for a number of years. One day, something really weird is going on, and so the Lord of the Keep grabs a bunch of knights, grabs his wizard and the wizard's apprentices, and they ride off to figure out what the heck is going on. And what the heck is going on is that a gateway to Nifleheim is opening up, and a bunch of demons from the netherworld are pouring out. And that's the last we see of them. Back at the keep, they're hearing this howling sound every night, and it's really getting to people, and they're not sure what's going on. Their lord has disappeared with a bunch of their forces, and so they're sitting there with the lord's sons and his other retainers that are still back at the keep, and they're trying to figure out what to do. And that's when we meet Theta and his manservant Dolan. Theta and Dolan are from elsewhere in the kingdom, and they end up at Dor Eotris during this crisis, and they lend their aid in figuring out what is going on. You can kind of see from the title what is actually going on. A gateway to the underworld. Niflheim, if I remember my Norse mythology correctly, Niflheim is basically the underworld, and this gateway to the underworld is opening up. There is a lot of Norse mythology wrapped up in this story. It doesn't seem to be set in on Earth. It seems to be set up in a fantasy world, but a fantasy world where the Norse gods were the ones that were in charge. So Odin is the leader of the gods. You have Thor and Freya and all the others. In fact, they have a temple, for want of a better word, where they go to talk about what they're going to be doing, and they talk about how each of the warriors in this temple goes and congregates next to the god that their family most worships, most identifies with, however you want to most reverences. That's the word I want. And so you have some people that are near the statue of Odin, you have some people near the statue of Thor, etc. Theta is a giant of a man wearing plate armor and shield and sword, but he also seems to be versed in the supernatural, in magic. He knows what things are and how to access those mythical powers. and there's a lot more about him than than we know about. There are lots of hints given. He talks about knowing things, and when questioned on how he knows those things, he stays quiet on the subject. There was one point where they were asking him about the gods, and I forget exactly how he worded it, but it was like, I've already made my peace with them, as if he knew them personally, kind of thing. And so there's a lot more going on with Lord Theta, as they end up calling him, than meets the eye. However, they're not necessarily suspicious of him, because one of their number, one of the soldiers there that was held in high regard, high esteem, knew Lord Theta personally from other adventures he'd had before he came to this place, and so he smoothed the way and vouched for Lord Theta. I think that's about where I want to leave it. They do end up getting another expeditionary force together to go find out what happened to the first, and to, if they can, recover them. If they can't, put an end to whatever it was that caused their demise, as the case may be. I like Lord Theta. I like the mystery surrounding him, and this being the first volume of the Harbinger of Doom saga, I look forward to reading more and getting more to depth with the world building, with the characters, with the mystery surrounding Lord Theta. There were some things about it that seemed strange. One of the retainers for this family, Eotris, that basically they've been living on and running this land for years. They're well liked and well loved by their people. They are honorable men, and they are there's basically no problem with them running the land. They're, as I said, they're well liked by their subjects, and they are honorable people. One of their retainers happens to be a gnome, and they talked about trolls and things. So it's not like they don't believe in the supernatural. They know that it exists, because they have, they've fought trolls before, and you may think, well, trolls aren't really supernatural. They kind of are in the realm of Norse mythology. If I remember right, this is where we get the trolls, if they're exposed to sunlight, turn to stone. And so we have that there, but they're also highly suspicious of magic. They in many cases, the gnome even denigrates magic. It's like it doesn't even exist, kind of thing. But it's like, what? So there are a couple of things that seemed a bit off about it, where it was like, well, obviously you believe in magic, because at one point they introduced some weapons that were supposedly forged by the gods themselves. They have an attack by a demonic-looking creature. They have a gnome. They fought trolls. And they still believe in the gods, but at the same time they're saying, well, magic is... they have a wizard, but it's like, oh, it's just sleight of hand and all that stuff. But no, the wizard actually can do magic. It's not like he's just like, excuse me, pulling a coin from behind someone's ear. It's actually, he's casting a fireball. But the gnome is still like, magic. Okay, doesn't really jive here. Anyway, it was fun. I enjoyed it for what it was. I look forward to getting into the world more and to reading more about the rest of the series. That's it for today. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, enjoy what you're reading.